Hello. Imagine a life where shame no longer controls your thoughts or your actions, and you unlock the power of self compassion and find true freedom. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So, Heather found herself thinking about this recent incident. You got your hair cut. Sammy casually commented. Well, Heather's heart started to race. She interpreted Sammy's words as criticism. You don't like it? Heather replied defensively. Sammy reassured her, why would you ask it like that? I like it just fine. Well, Heather couldn't help but press in further, and her tone was accusatory. Then, why did you say it like that? As the evening wore on, Heather became more and more unsettled. She had grown accustomed to kind of second guessing herself. It was a consequence of shame that had taken root within her. Toxic shame. It had eroded Heather's inner compass, making her overly sensitive to perceived criticism, and it blurred the lines between right and wrong. It was a constant inner battle that left her weary, questioning her own worth and her ability to navigate these social interactions. So Heather's story serves as a reminder that shame can disrupt our sense of self and even distort our perceptions of the world around us, making it crucial to address and heal from shame's effects on our emotional well-being. Well, welcome to our YouTube channel. This is the Tuesday Brew with Ann. I'm so glad that you're here. Thanks for joining me. This is part 4 of our 5-lesson series on shame and self-talk. Today, we are diving into embracing self-compassion, a vital step to overcoming shame and finding peace. Hi, my name is Ann Vissner, and I am a life coach, speaker, and trainer with For Better Forever, a certified Maxwell leadership trainer. I'm passionate about helping Christian women rediscover their voice, set healthy boundaries, and confidently express themselves while honoring their Christian values and beliefs. If you're new here, welcome to For Better Forever's Brews Letter, Tuesday Brew with Ann. So glad that you're here. So take a second and introduce yourself. I love to know who's watching and love to connect with you. And if you're watching the replay, type in #replay. And today we are talking about shame. This is part 4, and we're talking about embracing self-compassion. Now, please note that this work, it is provided to you for educational purposes alone. It's important to understand that this content is not intended to replace the guidance that you would receive or the expertise that you would receive from a professional counselor or therapist. I am a coach. I recognize that many of my clients struggle with shame. And so this is for my clients and those of you who want additional education to help you on your journey if you happen to be struggling with shame as well. Remember, you are worth it. You are worth it. And it is of utmost importance that you continue on your healing journey and seek professional help should you need it. Remember, you are worth it. It is a sign of strength to ask for help. Now, when we started this series, we started talking about shame and its impact on our self-talk. In video 1, we talked about what is shame. And if you want to pick up that video, I'll put it in the link below here. In the second video, or the second part, we talked about the good for you shame. Very interesting. There is a good for you shame. And we talked about how it motivates you to make amends and to care for others. Last week, we talked about the silent tormentor and how to recognize shame. And I gave you 7 signs that you may be struggling with shame. I want to remind you again of what is shame. Shame, toxic shame, is a deep-seated core belief that you are inferior, inadequate, or flawed in some irreparable way. Now, that's according to Julia Christina. Shame is a deeply ingrained belief that often operates covertly and silently shapes our self-worth, our mental health, and our self talk, which is why we're looking at shame. So today's title is Embracing Self Compassion, a Vital Step to Overcoming Shame and Finding the Inner Peace that we all long for. This is part 4 in our 5 lessons on shame and self talk. So let's talk about hope and healing from the effects of toxic shame. The goal is to live your authentic self, getting in touch with your core values, made in the image of God. We all carry some shame. When we carry toxic shame, we lose ourselves in a false identity, a false self. That means pretending. That means putting on a false face to keep people away and to stay emotionally safe. That shame disables our self talk and it keeps us from the truth of who we are and the truth of our experiences. So, the first goal of healing is to know yourself as you are, not worse than you are and not better than you are either. Shame tends to cause a person to swing from one end of the spectrum to the other. So here are the steps to break free from shame. Step number 1, the journey begins with growing in self compassion. Self compassion involves treating ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we would treat our best friend. There's some things we say to ourselves that we would never say to a good friend, someone that we love and care for. We would never say that to them. We don't need to be saying it to ourselves either in that toxic shame kind of way. When we experience shame, our instinct is to respond in self criticism and self judgment, so hard on ourselves. But self compassion invites us to embrace self kindness instead. Imagine being kind to yourself and the difference that would make to your life and to your relationships and to the way that you talk to yourself. This kindness acknowledges that shame is a universal human experience, reminding us that we're not alone. We are not alone in our struggle with shame. Yep, I truly believe that we all suffer from shame to one degree or another. And at some point in our lives, we need to acknowledge that shame. Now, surely, definitely, traumatic experiences happen to people. Does anyone get away without traumatic experiences? I don't think anyone escapes life. No matter who we are, we cannot escape difficulties and struggles and trauma in our lives. Now, for sure, some people experience far more than any human being should ever experience. My heart breaks for those stories and for those people who have suffered greatly. And for sure, the trauma needs to be worked through. There is hope and there is healing. There is hope and there is healing. I want to acknowledge those friends and my clients who have suffered greatly. I have cried with some of you, and I admire so much your tenacity to seek the truth and to seek healing. Your work has been ongoing. It has been tremendous. Way to go. I admire you so much. Thank you for sharing your life with me. You are such a gift to me and to the world. So I just do not want to bypass anyone's shame. I have heard my clients dismiss their pain. We don't want to do that. We don't want to dismiss another person's journey or their pain or their trauma. Everyone's journey is different. And even though there may be similar elements, our response to a similar event may be completely different depending on so many things. So it is only by being aware of shame And shame shows up in our body, it shows up in our mind, that we need to acknowledge shame's presence in our lives. Then we can begin to recover from shame. So here's the thing: self compassion allows us to observe and accept our emotions without judgment. Instead of surpassing or denying shame, we acknowledge, I see you. I see you, shame. And then we call it out for what it is. And the power of that acknowledgement, it cannot be overlooked. It's like bringing pain out of the darkness into the light. And we know, for a believer, the light sets us free. And so this self-awareness and this acknowledgement is a crucial step towards healing. So who are you? Well, you're not as bad as you thought you were. You're not as bad as you thought you were. You are worthy of love and belonging, a precious child of God who belongs to his family, worthy of self-compassion and self-kindness. So to wrap up today, self-compassion is a powerful antidote to shame. It offers a way out of the cycle of self-criticism and isolation and unworthiness, to replace it with self-kindness, mindfulness, godly mindfulness, and a sense of shared humanity. By practicing self-compassion, we can acknowledge the shame talk that we hear in our own heads, so we begin the journey of healing to reclaim our self-worth and our self-talk while building emotional resilience. This is part 4 of a 5-part series on shame and how it impacts the way we talk to ourselves. I would love to hear from you. Are you self-compassionate? How does that impact the way you talk to yourself? Well, next week, I can't wait. I'm going to give you a toolbox of healing with strategies to triumph over shame. In the meantime, check out our amazing resource. It's called the Mindset Tracker. It's one way to become aware of your self-talk. It's to identify the way you talk to yourself, those unconscious thoughts that often escape our notice because they're so unconscious, we don't even realize how we're talking to ourselves. And so check out that amazing resource. And next week, I'm going to bring you 3 powerful tools to break free from shame to freedom, to live authentically in Christ. Bye for now. Take care and God bless.